Here's the story of a bearish trader who was selling into every single bounce. All his orders hit the bid. Such a sucker, sometimes you buy the dip. It's the story of a bullish trader who was buying each down tick he saw. He averaged down and rarely stopped out on the edge of blowing up. Until one day they subscribed to Routine Trader and realized they can do both buy and sell. That there are two sides to Mr. Market, and beating him both ways is pretty swell. Yeah, pretty swell, so very swell. Beating Mr. Market both ways is pretty swell.
Cheers to a new trading day, really new trading week, retail trading team. I'm Mastro, and this is your routine briefing. Apologies for my absence yesterday. I got a bit caught up, had a lot of different trades going on, and I was a little late to the prep, so didn't quite get the newsletter out, didn't get the routine briefing out, and I'm sure the two of you who watch this are very devastated, and I'm sorry to disappoint you. Won't happen again. In fact, today we're early, we're ready to party, and we got a lot of good stuff going on. So let's jump right into today's routine briefing as the market is prepared to open here in 5 minutes exactly, and let's see what we got going on. So I'm going to go ahead and switch screens. Oh, you couldn't even see me. Well, there you go. Good morning. So that's probably a feature, not a bug. So I'll say you're welcome, and we'll jump right into this. So what we got going on today. So what I did is, given a blank slate, we'll just kind of cover our levels and do it a more interactive way. So first we're going to actually start with this warm-up document, which you can find in the description of this video along with all my other resources. And let's talk about what's going on in the warm-up document today. So we do have this net long overnight inventory, really pretty balanced, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it net long just because we did have that aggressive push, but we have corrected. So this morning, if anybody saw my tweets, I was saying how we're so overbought. We are opening way well beyond the expected move. Well, we did have that minor correction before the open here. In fact, we are now within the expected move, and the overboughtness has reduced a little bit. That's the correct way to say it. We're no longer as overbought. So we'll see what happens as the day comes on here. And like I said, I am inclined to actually change this. Let me just look at our chart here. I'm inclined to change this to more balanced than just straight net long. Let's see. Oh no, we're definitely going to go with net long. I didn't realize where the high was yesterday. So yeah, so we're definitely net long. Bulls we're very aggressive overnight. Again, we have seen that correction in the last 30, 45 minutes or so. So it's definitely going to play out to what you would expect to see when you have a really wide range like we have tonight, and that is just you usually see more of that choppy consolidation type action when the overnight range is so extreme. So we'll see if that holds. We'll see where we consolidate, where we make lows, etc. And we'll be ready to trade it. So we don't have an open drive yet. Obviously, that comes out after I usually fill this in after the first 5 minutes, and I will change it if something meaningful happens in the final or in the next 25 after that. So the first 30 is really opening range I use, but for this open drive, I'm just really first looking at that 5-minute candle. So yeah, so we'll see what happens here. Like I said, we are opening kind of near the edge of the expected move, even as it stands, and the bulls definitely put in a lot of aggression, which is really particularly noticeable in the /VX volatility, which we'll look at first here. And finally, these are levels, so I changed them from SPY just to straight ES. A couple people said that it was confusing to have both SPY and ES and didn't understand how I was doing that, and I was trying to be cute And sometimes you shouldn't try to be cute. And so in this case, we're just going to keep it with ES, keep it simple, and keep it consistent. So that's what I got going on the warm-up document. Let's talk about some of these levels. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight them on the chart. Uh, just go ahead and put some horizontals here. As the market opens, I will be looking to take trades. So if I do pop off, that's going to be why. So let's just really focus on the ones that are closest to us right now, which are going to be this 55 area, really this 40 area from the overnight, this 30 area where we're currently trying to accept right now. Let me put the chart trade mode on. I do have a little baby MES position going on so far, right at that 30 level, so that will make it easy. 30 level there. I'm going to take this mode off. And then 4380. Something like that. And there's really a bunch of we'll say support, really a bunch of demand in here, and that's where we're going to draw these volume profiles. So let's just draw a couple of these volume profiles, starting from that low on Friday, and coming from the edge of this rotation on the 14th, and I'll show you why some of these levels matter. And then just one to make it an even 3 from that high there. Okay, so you can see why 4430 is important. First of all, there's that big HVN, high volume node, lots of relevance now that we especially popped into it. So that's kind of where I get that 30 area from. And with you don't see it on this chart because again, I'm trying to be clever and interactive here. By the way, opening right about now. Okay, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to give it a second to shake out. And keep tabs on what's going on there. So yeah, so this level is super important here. I'm saying it's about 45.30. It's probably about 25, but I just put it at 30 because that seems to be the major area of activity overnight. So that's where that one comes from. And as I was saying, the top edge here, and really it's really 40 to 55, 45 to 55. I see it is a significant area. That's where you have the monthly value area low. So it's an important volume profile on a wider time frame. In fact, let's look at that. Let's go all the way from the top here. Okay, and the month itself begins right about here. Okay, so you can see what I mean there. That is right at the edge of that monthly value area low. We didn't quite test it, so I'm definitely looking for that potential overnight high trap. Yet again, the way that I'm reading this market very much today is that speed and aggression. We seem to be accepting above this ledge here. Again, this is that 44.30 area. As long as we continue to accept it, and we're seeing a little bit of a sell here at the open. But if we do stay above it, we're actually testing it as we speak. So let me go ahead and draw. Let's bring that horizontal down right there so we can watch it in real time. As long as we stay above it, again, I expect to test with that overnight high. And then really the question is, I'm going to get rid of this profile here. It's confusing. Do we really pop back into value? So let's get rid of the profile from the high. I don't find that particularly relevant right now. So the question is, do we pop back into value here, or do we get that rejection? And if you look at that warm-up document again, you'll see these various setups. This is kind of how I play everything, and what I'm looking for at any given day is price, these price scenarios, these patterns, and this is acceptance on the far right here, relative to what I identify as the important balance areas. So again, it's definitely more of an art than a science. And not necessarily the best artist, so that's why the levels can be a little bit dynamic. I think, well, that's just generally the market, but some people might disagree with some of these levels. But really, I think the important thing is here: do we pop back into value here? Do we lose this area, this high volume area, high volume node as they call them, and start to retest a little bit lower, or do we just kind of chop around it? So I was pretty keen on a short, again, at 33, but I feel as though we are starting to accept this area. Again, we'll see what happens on the open here. We are getting a bit of what's looking like an open test drive bearish, so we'll see if that holds. Yeah, really, that's why this level is so important today. So we'll say 25 to 30 is going to be today's pivot, and I will be looking for rebids as we explore lower. So you'll see my various scenarios. You can see it in a tweet right now. You can see it as well in the newsletter when that comes out shortly here. But I'm watching those scenarios, but definitely going to respect the fact that A, you had that aggressive overnight action, and B, volatility here is beginning to look like it wants to lose that triangle. We saw that divergence last week, and that seems to still be playing out. So if we want to look at it on TPO, another way to look at the levels, again, we have that poor high from the overnight, and you do have that naked POC, which we didn't quite test. So again, I do feel that's the magnet. If and when the bulls do recover from what is so far a bearish open test drive, if and when that does happen, watching that area very closely. And again, I will play that first fade, but really the top tier fade for me today is going to be closer to 50 to 55. So another potential support, this 23 area. Again, I really see 25 to 30. Plus or minus a full rotation. So I think today's N number, which is for a rotation, is about 9.64. So we'll say about 20 to 35. Really, again, it's that overnight high. This entire area, I expect chop. Going back to what I said, that significant overnight range. Wide ranges overnight often lead to a bit of contraction for the day session, and I'm expecting that. So again, looking for rebids all along the way, starting at that single here, then another rebid before we get to the overnight low, really anywhere. So I just put for those long trades today is any quality looking rebid, because I think it's just going to be a demand fest all the way down to that overnight low, just based on the aggression that we saw overnight. So we'll see. A lot can change. We can get a complete unwind. I could be completely wrong, yet that is how I'm playing it, and that is what I'm looking at. So we shall see what happens. If you liked a little more interactive session today, so I'm going to fit the plug in. I'd appreciate that like. Those thumbs up really help with that YouTube algorithm, so I'm told, and our quest to get back to double-digit views. So I appreciate that, and also I'd appreciate any engagement, be it in the comment section of this video, or on Twitter at Routine Trader, or just reply to an email, which is at retailtraining.com if you're not already a subscriber. Trying to make these as valuable as possible. A lot of my prep is done beforehand, so that's kind of why I tried that interactive thing. So let me know if you like that, or if you didn't. That's fine too. Just again, trying to make this as engaging and helpful to all parties involved, including myself. So yeah, that's what I got for you. So thank you for your attention. We're gonna see how this trading day shakes out. I'm hoping that we get some exciting action yet again. Be mindful that those wide overnight ranges often lead to these kind of contraction choppy days. So just keeping that in mind, and watch out for that newsletter where I'm going to package things nicely in case I rambled or confused in this briefing. That newsletter will be nice and tidy. So thank you again for your attention. Stay classy until tomorrow.